Good afternoon, my dear YouTube friends. Thanks so much for coming by. Today we are making a sticky garlic barbecue tofu that's to die for. And the method that we're going to use to make it is a double freeze method. If you haven't tried it, you should keep on watching to see how we do it. It is a total game changer for texture and flavor. Okay guys, double freeze method for your tofu. You're going to want to start with a block of tofu. I think that medium firm works best, but we are having a little bit of a shortage these days at Smith's, so I just got extra firm. It'll work just fine. What you do is you throw that whole block of tofu in the freezer, pull it out, defrost it in the fridge, do it again, and then once it's entirely defrosted, you are ready to go. So when you freeze your tofu, the water that's within the block is going to freeze and create layers. So once it defrosts, it's going to pull apart almost like a flaky meat would. So it gives you a much better texture. It's not so tofu-y, if you know what I'm saying. It's really just another wonderful way to show how versatile tofu is and how many things you can do with it. So now that this has been frozen and defrosted twice, I am just very awkwardly draining the water out of here. This is one of those like double packs. I don't typically buy these, but they're really nice for portioning, but we're going to use the whole thing anyway. So it's a little bit more yellow once it freezes and defrosts. That's totally normal, so don't worry if yours is looking a little yellowy. And now that our blocks are drained, we are going to press our tofu. And you can use a tofu press, or you can be super ghetto like me and just use 2 cutting boards. It works just great. So I'm just putting one cutting board on top of the other, and I'm going to squeeze the heck out of them and get as much moisture as I can out. The idea is to get out as much moisture as possible, because then we can add in moisture as flavor once we're ready to cook them. So as you can see, the texture is definitely not like a block of tofu that you just get out of the package. This firm stuff gets a little bit more spongy, but it pulls apart and the texture feels very meat-like once you cook it. So we're just going to pull it apart into bite-sized pieces here. And once we've got some nice bite-sized pieces, we're just going to put these on a cookie sheet on either parchment paper or a silicone mat so they don't stick. And we're going to turn on the oven to 350. You don't have to worry about preheating it. And we're going to let those dry out even longer for probably about 15 minutes. Just lining these up a little bit so they don't touch as much. And we're popping them in the oven. This is after 15 minutes. As you can see, they've gotten a little bit brownish yellow on the edges, so they're drying out really well. Now we're going to flip them over. So this method I've seen on a ton of different channels. I believe Mary's Test Kitchen was one of the first to do it. And it's a really transformative way to cook tofu. I love it. Dirty oven, don't mind that. Now that we've flipped them and then cooked them for another 10 minutes, they're nice and dried out. We're going to make our little marinade here. And today we're going to be using some of this Kentucky bourbon barbecue sauce that Steve bought. Use any barbecue sauce that you like. You can also substitute this for a buffalo sauce or teriyaki sauce, and just add the following add-ins that I'm going to add in a moment here to make whatever kind of sauce you're in the mood for. So I've got 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce here. Into that we're going to add some nutritional yeast, about 2 tablespoons, a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and then a large garlic clove minced up pretty finely. We're going to stir it all together. And then to that we're going to add 2 tablespoons of melted plant-based butter, and that's going to kind of add in a little bit of fat into this tofu because it's nice and dried out. There's hardly any fat content, so you really want to, we're going to get that to soak up in there and get it really nice and juicy. Then all we're going to do is plop our little dried out tofu bites right into this marinade and mix it around. You want to just mix it until all of the marinade is absorbed or coated every single one of those little tofu pieces. We want as much flavor imparted into these as possible, because now they're almost like little sponges. They're going to soak up any kind of flavor we put on them. Just stir them around a little bit, get them nice and gooey. And once we're nice and perfectly coated and all of our marinade is soaked up into these pieces of tofu, we're just going to lay them right back out onto our silicone mat or parchment paper. I'm going to try to leave a little bit of a space in between each one so they have room to get nice and crispy and gooey. And then once we've got all our little tenders on our silicone mat here, I'm just going to spray them with a little bit of cooking spray. I think I use canola. You can use whatever you have on hand. That's going to add to the fat content a little bit as well, so they can get nice and crispy on the edges while they cook. And once we've misted them a little bit with the cooking spray, we're just going to pop them in the oven that I've upped to 375 degrees for about 20 minutes or until they get nice and crispy on the outside, and you can tell that that marinade is really bubbling and gooey and ready to go. So while these little babies are getting nice and crispy in the oven, I'm going to make an incredibly simple side to go with them. You can, of course, enjoy these little tenders all on their own. They're really good on a salad. They make like this wonderful dressing, especially if you're going to do some vegan ranch. And speaking of vegan ranch, if you're feeling incredibly indulgent, some French fries and these sticky barbecue tenders and some vegan ranch is like where it's at. But I'm attempting to be more healthy because I've been overindulging during this whole quarantine. So I'm making this incredibly simple little salad that complements the flavors amazingly. I've just got some cucumber and tomato, and I'm topping it with some sea salt and freshly ground black pepper. And we're going to pile on these amazing little guys once they're out of the oven. See how it's nice, and you can kind of see the bubbling. It went down a little bit here, but they're nice and juicy on the inside, a little bit crispy on the outside. So I'm just going to pile these high in my bowl here. This is a perfect little afternoon treat in the sunshine. We had just done some lawn work, and Steve and I just shared this big old bowl of sticky barbecue tofu. So good. And then to add just a bit of creaminess and another layer of flavor to our bites here, I'm going to crumble just a titch of this Veal Life vegan feta on top. It adds a nice little zing and a lovely creaminess. And you don't have to use too much. It goes quite a long way, so you can get a little bit in each bite, and it works almost like a ranch would. It's just really nice and creamy and delicious, and goes wonderfully with the barbecue flavor. So I'm just crumbling up a little bit here, and then we're going to sprinkle on some fresh green onion from our garden, and we will be good to go. And there you have it, sticky, garlicky, barbecue-y tofu bites. Double frozen method. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. It's totally worth trying. The texture and flavor that you get from this method is a total game changer. It's so nice to like just mix things up if you're eating tofu pretty consistently. So let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. I just hit 100 subscribers, and you have no idea how much that means to me. It's all because of you guys. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.